Welcome back, y'all, and happy Friday. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. Man, it was a huge first round of the NFL draft last night, which is why I have on my red and black. This is the only time y'all ever see me wearing red and black is if it's for my Falcons. They did a beautiful job of going out and getting James Pierce in that first round. And we talked about that yesterday. I talked about it for a long time. I felt like there was no way that the Falcons was going to let James Pierce fall past them. And what ended up happening, what ended up happening last night is Jalen Walker, the linebacker from UGA, he fell to the Falcons. So they had a beautiful strategy because the Falcons needed a linebacker, needed a pass rusher bad. So they go and get Jalen Walker because he's a stand-up linebacker, off-the-ball linebacker, but also he's a pass rusher too, right? At number 15, they had the plan to trade back up to number 25 or 26, something like that, and pick up James Pierce. So whenever they picked Jalen Walker at number 15, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I was like, I'm about done with these Falcons. Because not only did you not pick James Pierce, but then you go and pick a Bulldog. That pissed me off. So I was really close. I was like, I'm going to just wait and see. Maybe they have a plan to still get James Pierce. And, of course, they trade back up. So what it looked like is the Falcons really were going to be picking James Pierce at number 15 had Jalen Walker not fallen. So I think that the Falcons won that first round for sure. Okay, to go out and get two guys that's like top 10 talents on defense, which is where the Falcons need to help at the most. That's beautiful. And I looked at those Super Bowl odds. I'm not much of a betting person, but right now I think it's plus 8,000. So if you bet $100 on it right now for the Falcons to win the Super Bowl, you're gonna get 8,000. I'm gonna tell you, you might not have to put that much, but put something on it. I feel good about the Falcons. They're gonna have a squad next season. So that was great for me all the way around. Also tonight we're gonna have the second and third rounds, and I think it starts at 7:00 tonight. So I would expect that Omar Norman, he's probably going to go at some point tonight, and then also Dylan Sampson. So the biggest thing that money is big, obviously, with the name, image, and likeness stuff. The players coming out of high school or coming from the transfer portal, they all want to get paid. But bigger than that is if you are producing NFL talent. So Tennessee already is off to a really good start with this draft. We've been doing a good job since Coach Heupel's been here. Hopefully, we'll see more and more of our guys getting drafted. But that is probably the single biggest thing for us to go out and be able to keep on adding blue chip caliber talent without having to spend as much. And something else that I'm going to tell you, prior to us getting into this transfer portal stuff, because we have a really big weekend coming up. We're going to talk about the players that we'll be visiting. We're going to talk about, some of the other targets, guys that might come up on visits. If it's not going to be this weekend, at some point pretty soon. I guess it's based off of what happens with this weekend. But I actually lost my whole train of thought of where I was even going with that. But either way, y'all, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. But yeah, this is going to be a really, really big weekend. Let me see let me see who we got inside of the chat. So right here we have Charles Tolston. Thank you for joining us. Saying that the Falcons for the first time had a plan. Yeah, shoot, last season going out and getting Penix. Because think about it now, man. We have Penix and we have Cousins as his backup. I don't know if they'll hold on to Cousins or what, but obviously that was a brilliant pick. Because what's everybody been saying this season with this draft? Like, well, it's not very quarterback heavy. So I think that they did the right thing. If there's a quarterback that you like, that you need a quarterback for your future, get them right now. And I think the Tennessee's got to do the same thing inside of this portal. We got to operate things a lot more like NFL franchises. Whenever you see a person, don't worry about what's going to happen after the fact. Go get the person that that you need right here, right now. So I love what the Falcons have done. They've set it up beautifully. And I think the only thing that we need at this point is probably like cornerback. I think outside of that, not Tennessee, but the Falcons are loaded. All right. And this right here is also from Charles, is saying that if they can get Omar Norman Lott, that's a one-on-one pick. Okay. Yeah, if you're talking about the Falcons, I would love for us to get them for sure. I don't know. I forgot what we traded. I don't know if we have any picks coming up in this second round. I don't think we have a second round pick. I'm not sure. I think that we'd have to trade back up to get a second round. But either way, yeah, I think Omar Norman Lott is probably going to end up going in that second round. The next one is from Briston Hatfield. Thank you for joining us, saying, always nice to catch you live. Love the channel. Thank you for that, man. I'm always happy to see you here. And I noticed the people that are, chatting it up with me and stuff. Thank y'all so much. From my dog D, this is one, he always chats it up, and he is a member of the channel. Thank you for that. So D is saying that Dante should get drafted just based on his 40 time. That's a good point. I think that Dante could also go today. I don't know. Is it going to be second round? Probably third. The only reason that I'm a little bit hesitant to say for sure that he would is just because I think that there's been some wide receivers that got pushed back some. Well, how many wide receivers went in that first round? Was it two? Well, I guess three maybe because Travis Hunter, he's a wide receiver / cornerback. I know that Ted went, and then Golden went from Texas. I think that those are the only three, if I'm not mistaken. Could be off either way. I feel like there might have been maybe 4, maybe 5 getting picked in the first round. But since it's gotten pushed back, we'll see. If there's a run on wide receivers early on in the second round, I think, then Dante has a really good shot to go. I mean, that type of size, he's the fastest player over 6'5", I think, in NFL combine history. You know what I mean? Like that should say a lot. He's a big guy that can most definitely move. So that would be huge, man. To have what would that be? That would be a total of 4 players going in the first 3 rounds for Tennessee. That's big. That's the type of stuff that brings in more and more talent. All right. Let me get to this one right here from my dog JPad86 saying GBO. James Pierce Jr. went to the Falcons, baby. Yeah. So we are definitely excited. With that pick. I know that you're a Falcons fan too. So that is awesome. All right. I want to get into how this weekend's going to look. And actually, first and foremost, what I do want to talk about while y'all are looking at some of the people that will be coming up on visits this weekend. It does sound like Tennessee might be able to hold on to Kobe Thomas. It sounds like there's still a path for that to happen. We talked about that yesterday. I think that would be the wisest thing for him for sure. Tennessee needs another safety. Obviously, I went on a rant, several rants about that yesterday. Got to have a safety. I don't think that you just sit around and wait on Kobe Thomas. I think that they've got to go out and target some different guys. I haven't seen too many names popping up, but we will talk about one today that has popped up with the insiders and, things like that. So starting off right here with these visits, this is what we're looking at for this weekend. So we've got wide receivers. Obviously, Keelan, he's a guy that everyone really wants. You can see the schools that they've visited or that they will visit coming up here. So hopefully Tennessee can beat out all of those schools. I think that Keelan's the guy that we really need, but just because he is a veteran, he's played on a Power 4 level. And then you look at the next guy, Ted Hurst, who played at Georgia State. He's a really good wide receiver. Okay, you can see all the schools that's targeting, and there's even more than that, right? That's just a few of the schools that's targeting him. He's got a long list. So everybody wants him. He has really good size. I think he had 6 drops last season, so he caught. It was at about 89 to 90% of the passes that were catchable. With Keelan, he was at about 93%. And with the next guy, who he's another big player. I think he's 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", something like that. You can see several schools are also targeting him, but he was in that same range of about 90% of the catchable passes. So we'll talk about it more as we go through it. And then we've got 3 guys on the defensive line. Okay, so we got a guy coming in from Arizona. Liked his film, think he's going to be really, really good. He's a bigger guy that can play kind of like that nose, that 0 or that 1 technique, that 2 technique. That's what Tennessee really needs. And then we also have Marcus Beerus. Like him, he's a guy that he's at about 290. I think that he could play some strong side in for you, kind of like a Don Bailey, kind of like a Tyree West, where, hey, they could play strong side in, but they could also play tackle. So I don't know exactly what Tennessee's targeting him for, but he's definitely versatile. And then we also have Josh Shell, who played at Grand Valley State. We don't have any clips for him. I think it's because of the classification that he played in. But we've got these clips, and then we've got several more that we're about to get into. All right. So let me try to get to some more of these chats real quick before we get too far into it. Right here from my dog T and Jr. saying afternoon, brother. Afternoon to you. Saying that we had first round draft picks in all our big sports. Yes, that's beautiful for Tennessee to be able to do that. All of them. So Tennessee's doing a great job. It's not just about football. We always talk about this is the everything school. T and Jr. is also saying that we need to keep Thomas big time, and it's not much out there though. Yeah, it's and actually this is the crazy thing is that there's some speculation that Kobe Thomas will have some suitors, especially from the ACC. I think I got that from Pete Nakos. So if he's got some suitors, that could complicate things. But I just would not anticipate that he's going to make more somewhere else than Tennessee's willing to pay him. And actually, I think that is where I was trying to go with it. Now I kind of got myself back on track. Where I was going with this, y'all, is it does sound like Tennessee has some NIL issues, right? Like it sounds like we spent a lot of money on our high school class. So there's not that much left over for the transfer portal. So one of the things that we've talked about previously is Tennessee pays more than most of these other programs, especially for the high school players. Now, it's not just Tennessee. It's Texas, it's the Buckeyes, it's Oregon. So, those teams are still able to, pay a lot for their high school players, but also they can pay a lot for the transfer portal players. So it is really just like there's not enough funds. Now, I don't know, is Tennessee overpaying some guys, but we might need to, again, we need a GM to look at this stuff and say, look, we got to have money for the portal just in case. You got to keep that. That's why I just feel like the organizational part of that, that's got to happen. But I think that's where I was going. I don't know if I had actually touched on it yet. But before we really get into all these players that we will be looking at today, we got to keep that in mind. We are running low on funds. Okay, it sounds like that is a fact. All right, and I got that from insiders. That's pretty much what they're saying. So this right here is from a detailer saying that Keelan is my number one guy. Hurst seems promising, but is he better than Brazel overall? Hurst wants to start somewhere. Yeah, I think that probably all these guys want to start, and if that's the case, then that's just the case. And T and Junior is saying that we need to hold on Thomas. Okay, yeah, I think we just got to that one. And then from J Pat saying he thinks that Braz has his second year in the system. We are all hoping so. All right, so let's go ahead and kick it off now. Let's go ahead and start off with everyone's guy right here, Keyn Marion. You can see his size, inside, outside guy. He has really good hands. He can do some things on special teams. He's going to be able to make things happen after the catch. He can take the top off. I think he runs really good routes. Okay, I don't always say that just because I don't think that it matters too much. I think that with some of the stuff that people talk about with the routes, and it's like, dude, you can teach someone how to run the route how you want them to run it, but because he gets out of his breaks so well, that's more of what I'm talking about. He looks really good there. He's going to get separation. He's probably going to be one of our go-to guys, or he's going to be whoever the starting quarterback is. He's going to be the go-to guy. I think that he would fit into our system beautifully, seamlessly, and I think that we have to have him. I don't want him to leave Knoxville, which it sounds like is he coming up today or is it tomorrow? I'm not quite sure, but it sounds like it's going to be a quick visit. Don't let him leave without, he's got to be coming to Tennessee before he leaves campus. I'm not saying push him too hard, but pull out all the stops. You got to roll out the freaking red carpet. I know we've got other visitors coming up, but this one is really, really big. We've got to, I think, land on them. And it's not because, as I always say, it's not because I'm worried about the wide receivers that we already have. It's just because we need another one and we need a really good one. So, he would be that really, really versatile player. He's that veteran guy that Tennessee's looking for. So this is why everybody likes him. I mean, just looking at his film, I think that it's pretty obvious why everyone's really, really high on him. So we'll see how that thing goes. The next player that I want to talk about, okay, because y'all have already seen him, I want to talk about Ted Hurst, okay? Look at his size. Actually, I'm going to pause it because we're going to talk about it just a little bit more. We're going to talk about him. I got to make it bigger. All right, so he's the one that's 6'3". So 6'3", 185 pounds. He's from the same town, or he's from the same city that Merkling is from. They probably know one another, okay? That's how it is down there. I think that they're from the same place. So look at those numbers. Yeah, he played at Georgia State, but even still, those are some really good numbers. 56 catches, almost 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. He's a big-time deep threat, but I also love his catch radius and things like that. So he would be a junior this upcoming season. He would be a third-year guy. All right, maybe a fourth-year guy. Either way, watch him here. This is versus Vanderbilt. I think these first maybe 3 or 4 clips is him versus Vandy. So this is him versus SEC competition. A lot of folks want to see it. To me, it doesn't always tell you too much, because if your team is outmatched, then, we can see what he's doing individually. But if his numbers weren't great, obviously they're not going to be great just because his team is not going to be able to stand up against Vandy. So either way, just looking at him here, he can do a lot of things. You're seeing some of these switch routes, and I think he runs pretty good routes. Maybe not the crispest, but as a vertical threat, I love it. So I think that Tennessee wants to target that veteran and then go out and get one more big guy. That's what I personally think. I think Tennessee wants to go add 2 from this transfer portal. I would love to add him. Like I said, he's had some issues catching, holding on to the football and things like that. But if he can work himself out of that, just with putting in work, you got to get on that jug and just keep on catching. But he also looks good, I think, running out in the open field. So this would be huge. And another part of it is looking at these new quarterbacks that Tennessee is going to have. They need these bigger targets because, you need the people that you feel like, hey, I can go to them, even if they're kind of covered up, because they can box out. Ted Hurst can definitely box out. That right there. See, look at that. Look at that catch radius. That was gorgeous. So yeah, I'm excited about him. It's supposed to be coming up, and we'll see. How does that thing go? He's one that I would definitely love for Tennessee to add in this class. Let me get to this super chat right here. Excuse me. And this one is from Unsung. Hey, listen, thank you so much for this super chat. This one is for $10, and it's saying, thanks for these breakdowns, Bull. Hey, listen, thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for chiming in. It really does. It means a lot to us. As y'all know, we put a whole lot of work into it, but y'all are the ones that make this thing fun. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all make this much easier on us. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to pull up the next player real quick. Okay, and this is Mr. Carter, and he's got 37 catches, 537 yards, and 3 touchdowns from last season. So he also played at a lower classification. But let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me see what he did in 2023. So he didn't really do much, but he would be a sophomore. So 6'4". This is another tall, long, rangy guy. Okay, I think he's got pretty good speed. Y'all will see that once this thing pulls up, because as we've touched on, Tennessee really, if with the new scheme change, we needed to find some guys that would be a little bit better getting in and out of breaks, that were a little bit more shifty and not as much, hey, they're tall, they're really good straight line guys, but you still need those players, right? Like you still need to have them for the reasons that we just touched on, because of the quarterback situation, and also because that's what this offense is. This is a vertical threat offense, and I don't think it's going to be a lot of underneath stuff all the time, but hopefully there is going to be, I would say, let me see, I would say probably 35 to 40% more than what we saw last season, because I think that this team needs it. But either way, you still need the guys that can stretch the field vertically, that could be that X wide receiver, that outside threat. You can get, isolated one-on-one, put the defense into a conflict. Hey, are you going to let our guy over here roam free, or are you going to dedicate a safety over the top of him? Because, hey, it could be him. It could be Brazel. It could be Travis Smith. Okay, it could be any of those guys. If you dedicate that double team on one side to these tall guys that can run and that are dogs, on the backside, you've got the smaller guys, and they're not tiny, but the 6'2" guys that can run really quick. And now you've dedicated too many, like you don't have enough people to cover the whole field. And hopefully that does make sense. And if it doesn't now, trust me, we're going to get into some more film breakdowns, prior to the season starting up, and we'll show you how this stuff could look once we know exactly what Tennessee's working with. But either way, this is a guy that I would love for us to land. I think it's going to be one of these two big guys. And, I think it's going to be, one of these. Hopefully it's going to be, Keelan. That's the other guy, So that's how all that looks. I'm going to get back to this right here. And I want to try to get to some more of these chats before we get to the D-line players. So I think that this is the next one right here. This is from Charles Tolston talking about Nathan Leacock, saying he's back in the portal. Why not bring him back? He knows the system. Yeah, I've said the exact same thing. I would bring him back personally, but it doesn't sound like maybe the staff doesn't want to do that. But yeah, I mean, that would make the most sense. He's an older guy, and he knows our system, and he's a bigger guy. He would fit everything. So maybe it's a situation where Tennessee can add maybe 2 guys from the portal that's not named Nathan Leacock, and maybe you can still add Nathan Leacock and bring in 3 guys. Now all of a sudden we've got a deep wide receiver room, you know what I'm saying, with people that we feel like will stick around, because some of the guys are going to be one and done. All right, so from Keyn Jr. is saying that, okay, I think they already got to that. Actually, it looks like I skipped that one that we got to earlier. So this one is from BTSH. Is saying that I think that Marion is perfect for an outside threat with Brazel. Yeah, I think that he could do both 100%. From Andrew saying that you've mentioned a GM for the team. Wouldn't they always have had someone doing roster management, maybe just not called a GM? I don't know how a team would even operate these days without one. Yeah, so that's something that we actually talked about in the video where we touched on all of that, where they've got people who are going to be looking at the roster, and I think Tennessee's got several people who are doing it. What I mean whenever I say Tennessee needs a GM, see, I think that people are kind of closed-minded, and I'm not talking about you, but I just think sometimes whenever people think of general manager, they're thinking like with the NFL, where with all NFL teams, the general manager isn't doing what the head coach asked him to do. That's one of the things I love about the Falcons now. The coach and the GM are working hand in hand. It's just like when you look at the Patriots for all those years. There were Belichick was the guy calling those shots. He said, hey, this is who we want to pick. But he needs somebody as a GM that gives him that short list based off of what he wanted. That's what I'm talking about. We need somebody who can all the time, all they do is they're looking at Tennessee's roster. They're looking at other rosters. They understand these are the players from Tennessee that might leave. This is where the depth could run short at. This is where most of the money's at. We want to allocate more funds here. And this is where the players are. This is my short list of players that could leave, players that, we feel like, we feel great about too. But we have a short list everywhere from other schools because all they're doing is on the phone talking to all these high school coaches, these college agents and things like that, and they're getting a really good gauge of how much money they can spend, how much money they have to spend, and all of that type of stuff. But it's all based off of what Coach Heupel wants and how he sees fit. Right now, Tennessee's doing it, but there's too many people, I think, that's doing all that. We need one person that's in charge of all those people so that they can get everything organized, and I hope that makes sense. And also, I want to pull up some more. Actually, you know what? We're going to go on ahead and get into the next player. I want to go on ahead and get to the next player on the defensive line. So we're going to go to Isaiah Johnson from Arizona. So the one thing that I will say about him is, like we talked about earlier, he's a bigger player. We all know that Tennessee absolutely has got to go out and get a big defensive tackle. All right. So he's still actually smaller than Bryson Eason. Can he add some more weight? I don't know. But see, because he's a little bit shorter, he's going to be more stocky. He's more sturdy. But looking at his numbers, there's not a whole lot for you to love, obviously, but that's because he's playing a tackle. But he was also teammates with Wendell Moy. So maybe Wendell Moy can sweeten it up for us. But watching him here, okay, you're going to see that he's got a good burst off of the football, and he's got some twitch to him. That's the other part of it, is every defensive tackle that Tennessee, I think, has on this roster, like right now, at least starting caliber guys, all of them are good pass rushers. So Tennessee's going to have just D tackles that are going to be good at that point of contact to stop the run, but they also have enough twitch to press that pocket back. They have the strength to press it back, but they can also, force the quarterbacks outside to our edge rushers. And, I'm seeing that, right here on this film. So I would love to add him, absolutely love to add him. And we're going to talk about some other players too that I think have already come up on some visits that I know Tennessee really, really likes. So this is just one of them. Would he be on the top of the list? For me, he's pretty close. I mean, he's not. I would say that he's tied for maybe like first or second with some of these other guys. So I think he's got everything that Tennessee's looking for sure. So let me get to, while this is still running, I'm gonna get to some more chats. Let's y'all keep on looking at. So this is from Keyn Jr. saying that put that dude in the Hyatt Jug Machine plant. And he's going to be something 100%. That's what you got to do. You got to catch the ball over and over and over and over and over again. That's the only way that your hands get any better. So from JPat86 saying that Ra Jackson, aside from the one-handed catch, look damn good. Yeah, he's going to be good. I mean, I think that whole room. So we got some studs in there. I can promise you that. And this one right here is also from JPat, and we're going to come back to this. This one's also from JPat. And it's saying that also 1 year, wide receivers also stand out in Heupel's system. In their second year, look for Brazel and Matthews to handle business. And I would have to add Braylon Staley to that mix, because do not sleep on Braylon Staley. He's going to be a major problem. So then that's another thing, is how are the players going to feel? And we kind of touched on it earlier. How are they going to feel whenever Tennessee adds some more wide receivers? Are they going to feel slighted? You know what I'm saying? Are they going to feel like, well, shoot, we're redshirt freshmen now. We thought that we were going to be playing more. Are they going to feel like that? I don't think that they should. Something that I heard Jason Swain talking about. The young guys still need to understand that, hey, y'all are still young guys. So y'all have to be team players. And, we need that depth. But I think that if we all buy in, if it's not some of that selfishness, then Tennessee's wide receiver core can be very good. We might not see it instantly, but as the season goes on, I promise you, we're going to be very happy with this wide receiver room because I think that they're going to help our quarterbacks out tremendously. All right, let me get to the next player. All right, the next one that we're going to look at is going to be Marcus Beerus, okay? Marcus Beerus, this is the guy that I was talking about. He's got some good length. He's only 286 pounds of what he's listed at here, so about 290. You see him here playing, coming off of that edge. I see him as a strong side end. There's not a whole lot of pass rush twitch coming off of the edge, but if he's setting the edge as far as, run stopping, he's going to look good, because here you see him getting double teamed. He's not getting moved. He's able to hold it there. So he's going to be great from that perspective, but also you line him up at that 3 technique. Okay, if you absolutely have to line him up at that 3, I think he's going to be really, really good there, especially inside of the Rabbits package. I think that he'd be good there. But would he be our best pass rushing 3 in the Rabbits package? I don't think so. I think that you look at a Tyree West. Tyree West, Bryson Eason, maybe even Jackson Moore will probably have more pop, more twitch in that sort of a situation, right? And with the Rabbits package, for those of y'all that might not know, the Rabbits package is when we have 2 Leos out there. So we have 2 edge rushers instead of having 1 edge rusher with 1 strong side in. So we're talking about we're going to have Joshua Josephs with the Caleb Herring or with the Jordan Ross coming off of the edge. And you've got some real, big guys with some beef, with some burst, with some twitch on the inside, running stunts and just doing a bunch of craziness. Yeah, that speed inside of that Rabbits package is going to be a problem, but I see him fitting in very well within Tennessee's system. I don't know that he would be high up on Tennessee's list. Again, we don't think that we have that much NIL money left right now. So he might be a little bit more of a luxury. If you can find one of these other guys that are a little bit more true tackles, then this would just be a luxury that you add on to it. So if the price is right, of course you want to do that. Of course you got to add some more playmakers because, of course, we need everything that we could possibly have to maybe overcompensate in some areas for what we don't know is going to, we don't know what the quarterback room is going to look like. All right. So that's how Marcus looks. Let me get to the next one. I want to get to Joel Starlings. So this is the kid from UNC that we talked about before. P's really high on him. The more that I'm watching him, the more that I love him. I think that he's already been up this week or he's supposed to be coming up. I'm not 100% sure on that. I hope that he didn't cancel because I would love to add him. He's a younger guy. But yeah, he's a guy that he can be that bigger player for you with that twitch, with that pop, and with that burst. This is a guy that would be high up on that list. So he'd be like 1A, 1B with the kid from Arizona. These 2 guys, and I would love to add them both. I would love to add some guys that are just, going to eat up space, that are going to eat up blocks, that are going to let our ends eat, even if it's not inside of that Rabbits package. If these are guys that you have to double team, which is what I'm seeing here, you're going to have to double team them, especially whenever they're rolling in fresh. Offensive line starts to get worn down in that second half. Bring these big bodies in fresh and let them go to work. Let them hunt. The guys coming off of the edge, they're getting single coverage now, right? Like you can't dedicate too much to them. And if you're doing it, you go to, you're maxing out. You've got a bunch of blockers staying in. That makes it easier on the back end for Tennessee's coverage. And as we talked about, we know that right now Tennessee doesn't look good with our safety room. So all these things work hand in hand. But this is why I feel like it is so important for Tennessee to add some really, really good tackles. So those are the tackles. And speaking of safeties, I want to take a look at some of the safeties. And actually, you know what? Before we get to safety, let me show y'all Darius Thomas. So Darius Thomas, he's another name. He plays linebacker, right? You can see his size. He's not the biggest guy. So at 6'2", 212 pounds, he's from South Florida. Now, y'all know how I feel about them South Florida boys, okay? They can ball. All right. So adding another linebacker, that's a room that we feel like is really, really deep. And as we touched on previously, I feel like the reason that they would try to target another linebacker would be because they're not quite sure how some of the injuries with players that haven't done too much throughout spring, they're not quite sure how that's going to, measure up or how that's going to play out over the course of the year. So, yeah, man, add some more depth. This is whenever we talked about Tennessee's needs and I said, you want to go get the best thing left. This is what I was talking about. Linebacker room's already deep, but a Darius Thomas, man, I'm going to tell you, he looks really, really, really good. Okay. So we're going to let this thing keep on rolling, but he looks good right here. He's coming off of the edge. He's a guy that can play in space. He's going to have to gain some weight. There's no question about that. But with him being a little bit older, he might, maybe he could play at about 225, 230, which is 225 is kind of light for our backers, but maybe he could do it just because he's got some grown man strength. Sorry about that. I'm not quite sure what happened with this. And I hope that this thing didn't, you know what? I think that this one may have messed up on this. So I apologize about that. I might have to see if I have another one in here because I really want for y'all to see him. He's a problem. He's a major problem. Yeah, so hold on. Bear with me for just a second. Let me see if I got a different one in here that I can show you because he's one that I most definitely want for y'all to see. And if I don't, I might be able to do it a different way. Let me see. Is the right one? Okay, yeah. I think that I might have messed up with that one, y'all. So give me just a second. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up while I'm trying to figure that out. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up Quan Patterson. This is the safety that we talked about yesterday. I think that he's very, very similar to the safeties that Tennessee already has, especially these younger guys. He is a younger player, but here you're seeing him playing inside of the box, covers tight ends well. I mean, he's a South Florida boy, and they are ballers. Okay, pretty much all of them. they're just cut from a totally different cloth. So I would love to see, what Tennessee really wants to do. I don't see anything out there about him being scheduled to come up on a visit just yet. But he's a guy that I would love for Tennessee to take a real serious look at. Just because he's young doesn't necessarily mean that we aren't going to bring him up. You know what I'm saying? So that's the other part of it. But yeah, I mean, he does a good job with his run support. I think his coverage looks solid, but we got to add some more bodies to that room. There's just no question about it. You can see him playing free too. He's not just playing up inside of the box. I think that he could do both. You got to do that, I think, in all of all these modern day defenses, but especially in Tennessee's defense. Our whole thing, y'all, Tim Banks' whole thing is about being versatile. It's about having people that can do a plethora of different things. And he's targeting more and more versatility as people are starting to buy into his system, and he's able to go out and get higher caliber players. We saw a lot of that with last season's class, not just with safeties, but I would say with some of the front seven stuff, right? We got guys that can play edge rusher, that could play stand-up backer. And, we got a guy like Jaden who could play on all three levels. So I think he's kind of similar from that aspect. If he gains some more weight, I could actually see him playing at linebacker. So I don't know that he's going to really grow into that, but I'm just saying he's that type of a player. So I'm going to tell y'all what I'm going to do here, okay? And this one it's not going to have all of the highlights, or it's not going to highlight the players and things like that in this one, but I want for y'all to see Darius Thomas, okay? So I'm going to bring this thing up, and actually you have to bear with me so I can get it up here. Bear with me for just a second, and I'm gonna bring Darius Thomas up, and y'all can just kind of get a feel for how he looks. If you have to pause it at any point, kind of go back and see where he's at, then of course you're free to do that. You know what I mean? But I definitely want for y'all to see him, and you'll be able to tell who he is making the plays once he gets to making those plays. But he's a stud. I would love to add him to this linebacking core just to add some more depth. For me, he puts me in the mind of what I feel like Jordan Burns could turn into. He's really fast. He can definitely cover, and he's going to be a sideline guy. I think that he could, in certain situations, right? Like we talked about Tennessee being really versatile. We typically play a 3-3-5, 4-3 or 4-2-5 hybrid nickel, right? That's pretty much what it is. But with our base, it's we can go from a 4-3 to a 3-4. In a 3-4 situation, he's a guy that you could just put in a lot of different spots. So adding that versatility, him is almost like a gadget piece for Coach Banks to kind of play with, you know what I mean, with our defense. I would love to add him. So I don't know, is he coming up on a visit or not? We'll have to see how everything plays out. But let me try to get back to some of these chats. I hope that I'm not missing on anything. And so JPAC saying, Braylon Staley in the slot. If anything, let's get depth 100%. And he's also saying that let's get that like button smacked like a drooling Georgia fan. Appreciate that. Yeah, please, if y'all are coming in here, if you're just coming in, please do make sure to like and subscribe. From Keyn Jr. saying that Beerus is a stout kid, serviceable, and okay, yeah, for sure. I think that anybody that comes and plays for Coach Garner we already know he's gonna get the most out of all of his players. Just like talking about Omar Norman Lott. I think that Omar Norman Lott, that was the worst film breakdown that we've done on this channel. We said, hey, you can see it there. You can see that he's got the pop, but his motor wasn't very high. But he comes with Coach G, and he's turned into a second or third round draft pick. He wasn't going to get drafted playing at Arizona State. So I think that Coach Garner can do that with anybody that he targets. He knows what he's looking at. So while we're going through some more of these chats, I'm going to go ahead and bring up AJ Halsey. We talked about him yesterday. He's a guy that's playing at safety. He is a veteran. I absolutely love his film. If Tennessee wants to add a safety, if Kobe Thomas doesn't come back, I would add him, and I try to add him anyway. I would say, look, we don't know what Kobe Thomas is going to do. Let's go target these guys for real. But I haven't heard anything at all about Tennessee trying to bring him up on a visit. So did he choose a school? Up to this point, I haven't seen it, but it is possible. Keyn Jr., sorry to keep you waiting, saying that he likes the North Carolina kid. He's pretty dang good. He has pretty dang good feet and punch for sure. For Miss Terry's Bathwater saying late to the party. James Pierce Jr. to ATL. Yes, sir. Okay, so you're a Falcons fan now. Okay. Welcome to the squad, baby. And from Keyn Jr. saying that they're 74 in here. Yeah, man. Let's go ahead and get it up. Thank you for that. From D saying that last I counted, we're down to 78 scholarships with Kobe being gone. Yeah, that's the other part too. If you're looking at how the house settlement is going to play out, Tennessee's going to have 105 scholarships. So before it was 85, Now it's going to get up to 105 is what everyone thinks is going to happen. That's going to get implemented this season. So we're only at 78. We're way up under that, right? I mean, so we have plenty of room. That's another part of the reason that we know that it's not because we don't have enough room for these players. It's because we don't have enough money to get these guys paid. That is a pretty big problem. So I moving forward, I don't know what they're going to do differently. I really sincerely don't. It's going to be hard to fight for championships if you can't spend as much money as some of these other teams. It sounds like the Buckeyes are planning on spending about $30 million this season. They spent 20 last year. And I think that Texas is probably spending about 32 because they're doing a beautiful, like, look at what they're doing. I mean, they're doing a phenomenal job just going out and getting players. I saw something else that's been floating around on social media that Tennessee lost 21 players to the transfer portal up to this point, not just from spring, but since the last window. And we've only added 4. Those numbers are not good. Okay, we've got to get it up. I would anticipate that Tennessee's at least going to add 2 more, so that would bring us up to 6. But realistically speaking, Tennessee, I would say, needs to add, we need to add probably 4 more. Like, I think that would be perfect if we could add 4 more. But yeah, we're definitely way up under that scholarship limit. So we'll see how things play out moving forward. It's going to be, I think that we're in a pretty tough spot. Let me try to get this thing together because it does look like, sorry about that. It does look like my stuff is not charging, and that's going to be a problem. This thing might die on y'all. Okay, let me try to get to the rest of this. Do you know what a plethora is? Jefe Y El Guapo. I don't know if that's from. I don't know what that's from, but that's a reference that I don't get. And so this is from T and Junior saying a plethora. Love that dang movie. Is that from that Dynamite movie? I don't know. Like when you say Jefe, that's the first thing that comes to mind. But I'm not too sure on what that reference is. So we have a little bit of an issue, man. We're having a lot of technical difficulties today. But I think that we're gonna have to cut it short, is because my laptop is not charging. So we have to cut this thing short. But y'all get the gist of what Tennessee's looking at. There are several players that we showed you today. We have got to close out on tackles, on wide receivers, and I think that Tennessee's going to be able to get it done. But also, we have to worry about who's going to enter into the portal from Tennessee. Does anybody else go? It's kind of been hinted that if we have to wait till Monday to see who all is left. And actually, we kind of talked about it. Kobe Thomas is not 100% inside of the portal just yet. So I think that Tennessee's going to hold out on putting him into the portal at least until Monday. Yeah, at least that's what I'm hoping, to try to get him to come back to Tennessee. That would be huge. I would still like to go and add 1 more safety just to be safe. But we will keep y'all up to date as much as we can over the weekend on what's going on with it. Okay, so thank y'all so much for tuning in. Okay, so that's from the 3 Amigos. Come on, B. Okay, yeah. I don't know. Y'all talking about something else. I'm gonna try to get to this one right here. Saying that I'm going to say it. Unfortunately, we're not getting any of these wide receivers. I hope that that's not true. If that's the case, it's going to be a long season. We've got to at least get one. I'll say this real quick. We have to get 1 wide receiver, bare minimum. That's a veteran, and we have to get 1 tackle. If not, it's going to be a very, very tough season for Tennessee. But that's going to be it, y'all. Thank you so much, and we will see y'all a little bit later on. Thanks. Peace.